Hi, fans of high quality entertainment. So, in this video, the idea is with my CD collection, if somebody came over and was looking through all of the CDs, the Beatles, David Bowie, Blue Oyster Cult, Black Sabbath, Frank Zappa, uh, Sparks, many other artists, I am pretty sure that a lot of my viewers would see certain albums or hear certain albums in my collections and think, oh, that's terrible, Larry. So this is the idea of my video. These are 10 albums that I love that most, not all, but most of my viewers would probably not want to listen to. They would dislike. And they're not ranked or anything because I think they're all kind of equal in a way. You wouldn't like any 10 of these. Some of you, like I said. If you have an open mind, you might. So first up, and I might be doing a review and ranking of this band, and I will include these two albums. But the one I want to talk about is The Doors' Other Voices, this top one here. So that was the first album, of course, without Jim Morrison, who had sadly passed away. But the Doors were working on music for, hopefully, for Jim Morrison to add vocals to later, but he passed away. And because they're musicians, what else are they going to do except make music? They could have gotten another singer, and you know how that would have gone. Even if it was a really good singer, there would still be some kind of backlash. That's not Jim Morrison, right? That's not as good as Jim Morrison. So they decided, maybe foolishly, to just record the album with the three members, and they would do their own vocals, even though they're not great singers. And I have just always, I would say I liked the album when I was younger, but through the years, I've grown to actually love the album. I think it's underrated. Is it as good as a Doors album with Jim Morrison? No, but still, like I said, I love the album. And I'm also kind of warming up to Full Circle. So that's the first album. Let me know what you think of Other Voices. Next up, this is a band that really gained popularity kind of after they broke up through the years. And they are definitely respected, but they're not for everybody, especially their second album. I'm talking about the Velvet Underground, White Light, White Heat. It's very abrasive. It's very loud, most of it. Very distorted, and the final track, Sister Ray, I feel is one of the heaviest songs I've ever heard, and I love it. I love every single second of this album. But like I said, it's not for everybody. In fact, the first time I heard this album, probably in the 80s, I hated it. But I grew to love it. And I'm also a big fan of Lou Reed. Next up, another band where when I first heard this album, I'd heard another album of theirs and I loved it right away. So then I bought another album of theirs, an earlier one, and I hated it. Hated it. But after a couple of weeks, I decided, oh, I'll play this again. I'm bored. And I kind of liked it. I was getting used to the different songs and the production and everything. And on the third play, I ended up starting to really love the songs. Seriously. It is Ween. The Pod. You can tell by the album cover it's gonna be weird. And, yeah, I love everything by Ween. But once again, it's not for everybody. One of their later albums isn't as weird, and I think most music fans would actually enjoy at least some of the songs that they do. But on this, like I said, it's not for everybody. But I love it. Now, this was gifted to me by Nicholas Pearl. It's not for everybody. I'm sure most of you have heard his music, but I've always respected this artist. I think he was very, very talented. I don't play this album a lot, but once in a while I do, and I really do enjoy it. It's Tiny Tim. And this is God Bless Tiny Tim, featuring
Tiptoe Through the Tulips.
I know, I sound just like him. But anyway, Tiny Tim. Now, this band is definitely most people, if they hadn't heard this album and they did hear it, they would say that is god awful, and they're probably right. But even on the first listen, I found it because I knew the story of the band, and I found it innocent and kind of endearing. I'm talking about the Rockin' Shakes with Philosophy of the World. They can barely play their instruments. They can barely sing. But like I said, if you'd have to look up the story before you attempted to hear this. But and I'm not even going to say I love the album, but like I said, I enjoy it when I do listen to it once or twice a year. Now, speaking of Velvet Underground, there's more than one Lou Reed album that isn't for everybody. I could easily just show Metal Machine Music, which is just guitar feedback, a double album. Most people would hate that. I don't exactly like it myself. So I've chosen another album of his that I feel is underrated. And even if you like Lou Reed, some of you that like Lou Reed might not like this album because of his vocals and the experimentalness of side 2. I'm talking about Lou Reed The Bells. I have played this hundreds of times. It's one of my favorite Lou Reed albums. Next up, how about some Frank Zappa? There's more than one album by him that a lot of music fans wouldn't probably care for, but I've chosen Lumpy Gravy, which is very experimental. It's got music in it, but it's got, for instance, there's a section where there are, I think it's two or three people inside of a piano. You'd have to hear it. But it's funny. It's entertaining. There is some good music on this too. But like I said, it's not for everybody. So Lumpy Gravy. Now, this band, at one point I was buying some of their other albums, which were good. I did like them. But I just kind of settled on keeping one album by them. That's enough for me. But I absolutely love this album. But once again, the first time I heard it, not so much. It is The Resident Beatles with Duck Stab. It's weird. And speaking of weird, one of the most talked about weird albums of all time is Captain Beefheart's Trope Mask Replica. Once again, I think for most people, even fans of Captain Beefheart, if they'd heard some of his other music and liked it, and then they hear this, they're not exactly gonna probably like it or love it right away. I certainly didn't. It took me 2 or 3 listens to kind of understand it, what they were doing, because it's kind of nuts. But the musicians on it are excellent. I love Captain Beefheart's vocals, and it's got some seriously funny things in it too, produced by Frank Zappa. And I love it. But it is weird. And finally, definitely probably 90% of you out there would hate this or dislike it. No, it's not John Lennon Plastic Ono Band. It's Yoko Ono Plastic Ono Band. It's not my favorite album of hers, but it's definitely not for everybody. She does scream on this album, unlike some of her other albums where they're song-based and really, really good. But still, I enjoy this album, and I love the song Why. That was the B-side to John Lennon's Mother. Ever since the early 70s, ever since I was young. The first time I heard it, of course, it was jarring and, oh, she's screaming and the guitar feedback and everything. But I soon learned to actually love it. So, Yoko Ono Plastic Ono Band is the final one. Which one of those albums do you think you would actually maybe like or you do like or love? And which ones do you never want to hear? Let me know in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Please remember to like the video and make sure you're subscribed. Bye.